moons ago. Everybody! Beautiful. Okay, so it was a long time ago. Many, many moons ago, deep in the southern regions of Africa, there in a semi-desert area was a small village. And in this small village lived a go-go. Okay, now not a go-go like you have in North America, not a dancing go-go. Don't get me wrong. Go-go in Africa means grandmother, means an elder. And the go-go of our story was the healer of the village. She learned how to speak to the trees. She learned the language of the waters and the rocks and the mountains and the sand beneath as she walked. She learned to speak to the four-legged beasts and the winged creatures and the finned ones who jumped through and up and down in the rivers. You see, Gogo became a healer because in this tiny village they were threatened by Umoja. Umoja. Standing just there by John, behind John, you see that mosque over there created by Jack? Umoja was the lord of the underworld. And sometimes he would creep in the middle of the night with the dark shadows creeping in with him, planting seeds of hate and destruction, planting seeds of dis-ease in the bodies. Over time, Gogo learned to heal from her Gogo. But Umoja was getting stronger because every time he came into the village, he took a piece of someone's soul and brought it down with him into the underworld. Now, as tradition goes, the next grandchild of the Gogo was to be the next healer. And in this village, when a woman is pregnant, they create a song. And the song of this beautiful woman went like this. Go for it. So the village would learn the song, and there will be a dance. So when the child is born, it knows that it is home. So we're going to sing it together, and it goes like this. Here we go. Let's find that beat. Everybody. I'm a crazy sana. I'm a crazy sana. And it wasn't long after where Amakwe was born and the whole village came out to celebrate. And as time moved on, Amakwe learned all the ways on how to speak to the trees and Big Mama Moon and the sun. She learned how to speak to the rocks and the trees and the land that she walked on. And the time came for Amakwe's initiation. It was time for her to now pass as the next healer. Gogo that night prepared the acacia seed and crushed it. They made a big fire and invited the entire villages from all around to come in and celebrate this beautiful occasion. Just as Gogo was about to take some acacia seeds and plant it on Amakwe, Umoja arrived, seeping in with his dark shadows. He crept in closer and closer, and soon screams were heard. The fire was put out. People were thrown down to the ground. People were screaming and shouting. There was havoc everywhere. Amakwe didn't know what was happening and fell down. When the sun rose the next morning, Amakwe woke up. You see how beautiful the universe works with us storytellers. Hey! Hey! Beautiful Mother Nature! As the sun rose the next morning, Amakwe woke up. The whole village had been destroyed. People were coughing and sick. Some souls were taken. Amakwe got up and felt something. A piece of her soul, too, had been taken by Umoja. She stumbled over to find Gogo and found her in a hut where the men carried Gogo, who was close to her death. Tears streaming down her eyes, Amakwe looked at her Gogo. I said, Gogo, what do I do next? How am I supposed to heal the village when a piece of my soul is missing? Please don't go, Gogo, please. Gogo looked at Amakwe and said, my child, remember who you are. Remember the language. Remember the languages of the trees, the moon and the sun, the river and the rocks and the land that you walk on. Remember your dance, for that dance will connect you back into who you are. Go and find Umoja and get the piece of your soul back, because only then will you be able to heal this village. Amakwe did not. She was so frightened, as you can imagine. But believing her Gogo, she packed her bags. And when that sun rose the next morning, she went off on a journey. She went over the river and down again, across the river, down to the valley. She went over the hills and down again, across the river, down to the valley. She went over the hills and down again, across the river, down to the valley. She went over the hills and down again, across the river, down to the valley. She looked up at Big Mama Moon, for she did not really know where Umoja lived. The Mama Moon kept on guiding her and showing the path, and eventually took her to the valley of 1,000 hills. And there, deep, deep down, right at the bottom, she found the dwelling of Umoja. It was a huge, dark cave, cold and damp. Amakwe could feel the hate and the hurt and the pain coming in from that cave, coming in from the land of the underworld of Umoja. And with all the bravery and the piece of soul that she had left, she walked through that damp, cold cave, feeling her way through the cave. Amakwe saw and felt the creatures of the underworld. Eyes gaunt out, screams and cries of pain, of constant pain and struggle. People on the floor, spirits moving in and out, lost looks on their faces as they tried to feel their way for some form of light. Amakwe moved between the rocks, here and there, looking for Umoja. And finally, she saw a big puff of clouds and knew that was where he sat. She went straight to the clouds, and there Umoja was sitting, smoking his big pipe, full of smoke surrounding him. He laughed as the spirits played around him. Amakwe, with all her might, walked up to Umoja and said, Umoja, my name is Amakwe, and I come from the village of high above. I am the granddaughter of Gogo, and I have come for the piece of my soul. Give it back. Laugh no more, Joe. Look at you, you puny little thing, Amakwe. What do you want, a piece of your soul? You told me one thing. Oh, but just for fun, Amakwe, just for fun. To get a piece of your soul, you need to dance for me. Yeah? You need to dance to my beat. If you dance to my beat, I'm a great. You will have a piece of your soul back. Amakwe looked at Umoja and said, I'll do it. Umoja's music began to play. But Amakwe only knew the tune of her heart, of the village, of her song. She tried to dance to his song and his music, but she couldn't move. And the more she tried, the spirits got closer and tried to shift and move her body in accordance with Umoja. And with much resistance, she tried, but it couldn't move her body. And the more she resisted, the more the spirits began to attack her and move. Umoja laughed at her. Dance for me, Amakwe. Dance for me. Amakwe tried to move. Dance to my tune, Amakwe. The spirits began to attack her and move her up and down. She fought as much as she could. And eventually, she was knocked down. While she was knocked down, she closed her eyes in defeat. She thought this is the end. She looked up. And she saw Big Mama Moon's face, smiling at her. And in Big Mama Moon's face, she saw the face of her grandmother, Gogo. And Gogo telling her, Amakwe, remember who you are. You are Amakwe, the one who speaks to the trees, the moon and the sun, the one who speaks to the willows and the rocks and the land that you walk on. Don't forget that. Call on the spirits, Amakwe. Call them on, and may you happy, for you are not alone, Amakwe. You are not alone. Stand up. Remember your song. Remember your dance. Amakwe, shakingly, stood up. And she heard her grandmother's voice saying, Amakwe, don't dance for them, Amakwe. Dance with them. Dance with them, Amakwe. Dance with them. Amakwe stood up and began to dance to her song. She began to move to Amakwe. Now I need you guys to sing that song. Amakwe began to dance her dance, and she called on the spirits. But now, the evil spirits of Umoja could not touch her. For as she moved and danced with the wind and the stars and the sun and the moon at her back, the spirits moved right through her as she glided and shifted and went into the dance taught to her by her Gogo. Hiya! Umoja sat, and he began to get furious, and the big puffs of clouds got bigger and bigger and bigger as he grew and grew and grew. And he took all of the clouds, surrounded Amakwe, and began to squeeze her last drop. And Amakwe, in that moment, felt the squeeze and called on to her ancestors and called on to the spirits of the villages and called on to her grandmother and shouted, Amakwe! Amakwe! Tears streaming down her eyes. In one big scream, Umoja was gone. And all that was left was a pebble of his darkness. Amakwe looked at the pebble, held it tight, for inside of that pebble was a piece of her soul, and the soul of so many others. She closed her eyes, and immediately was taken to the top of the mountains, where she still held the soul of Umoja. But now Amakwe had taken not just a piece of her soul, but she captured the soul of Umoja. Amakwe had now captured the dark and the light within. She walked back to the village. Everybody greeted her in unison. She ran back to Gogo, and tears streaming down her cheeks. It touched Gogo's, and Gogo was healed. Amakwe was now not just the healer of her own soul, but the healer of a village and nations, and everybody came forth to celebrate. Everyone from the whole villages, they came and lit a fire as Amakwe went and held each and every single person's hand that was suffering, that was still having dis-ease in their body, that was still missing a piece of their soul. Amakwe came and touched them with the rock of Umoja and the light from within. For you see, each and every one of us has a piece of Umoja in us. And each and every one of us has a piece of Gogo. We are all healers of our own heart.